So let's get started. So I believe there are three types of interaction in an online classroom, and there's lots of research to support this. But we have student to content, and we all know about that, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We have student to instructor, and we have student to student. And I believe if you focus on those three areas, your class will be amazing. So let's start with the first one, student to content. I put the usual because these are kind of the usual things that people think of when they're thinking about student to content. So there are things like the textbook. We all use our textbook, whether that's one that students purchase or one that that you use from online. Lots of great free textbooks out there. Many of us use articles. I know in my classes I use a lot of articles because they're up to date. It's the most recent research, all of those kinds of things. And it's sometimes as a quick read for students, something they can read when they're on the go. Many of us use websites, so we direct our students to websites. That's all student to content. And also, of course, videos, lots of YouTube videos, lots of other kinds of videos that are out there that we share, TED Talks, many, many things. If you have an idea for student to content that you're using in one of your classes or something you'd like to use, just type it in the chat so everybody can see that. So today, I'd like to tell you about something new that maybe you haven't heard of, and that is WISC Online. And I am going to go there right now. Patty is going to be putting the links in the chat box so that those of you who are like me and during the presentation, you like to click on those links, they'll be there for you. But again, we've also are recording this, so you'll get the links when you get the presentation recording as well. So WISC Online actually was started by one of the technical colleges, Fox Valley Technical College. So what I love about this site is on the left, you see that there are all kinds of different topic areas where you can choose one of those and find all kinds of games that faculty have developed and are sharing with you. It's just great. Students love games to be able to learn the content. And then if you go up here to games and click on build games, they have all these different kinds of games that you can build using your own content. And you can choose to share them with others. And as I was mentioning, let me go back one screen again. I apologize. Thank you for letting me know. There are all these topic areas on the left. And those, you can go into each of those topic areas and you can get a game that you can use with your students because they're games that faculty have already developed. Or you can go up here to games and you can click on build games, and there are tons and tons of games that you can build yourself. You can choose to share them and put them in that repository. And yeah, the games are for adults or for youth. It's just entirely up to you how you want to build it and what kind of content you want to put in. And the ones that are pre-made are all different age levels. You can put in an age level. So you can build your own games and then share those with your students. This is a wonderful, wonderful resource. So if you have something that you can think of that you're doing which is a student to content interaction, would you put that in the chat and share that with all of us, please? All right, let's go on. Student to instructor. And we have what I call the usual. We do things like we send a welcome letter to our students to let them know about our class. We provide feedback to our students. We, as instructors, send them emails. We do web conferencing like we're doing today. We give we post announcements in our learning management system if you're using one of those. So those are all ways that we as an instructor communicate with our students to let them know that we're there for them. So today, I'd like to tell you about something new that you may not have tried before, and that is Remind. And I'm going to go ahead and open that up. So Remind is a great little tool. What Remind does is it allows you to go to this Remind website at remind.com. Patty put the link in for you. And it allows you to message your students without using your cell phone. So you can send them a text message on their phone. We have a quiz today, or don't forget to do this assignment, or whatever it might be. You're not using your phone at all. You're using remind.com, and students opt in. So if they want to receive those text messages, they opt into the service and they're able to use it. So it's a great little tool. I'm just going to go back and show you what that looks like. Just waiting for my slide to advance. Apologize. Oh my goodness. There we go. So this is an example of what it would look like. So I would set up my class, or, you know, if you're doing a training, just think about getting that list of people that you could text about the next training you're having. And here's where I would invite everybody. And then I get this list in Remind. And when I want to send out a note to all of them, I just go to remind.com and send out those notes. And it goes as a text. Let me show you what they look like. So this looks like, this is what the update looks like. So when I said that students could opt in, they get this message, and then they are able to use that code that's listed there. And then they can opt in to go ahead and get the messages. And Moni, you're saying that some phone companies don't let the messages go through. I hadn't heard of that before, so that's interesting. So yeah, so this is great. You can also embed this in your learning management system, so you can have the messages go that way as well. Just another way, we know that a lot of our students are living on their phones, so just another way of being able to connect them from instructor to student. The last one, student to student, I kind of talk about the usual here. So the usual are things like many of us use discussion boards in our learning management systems, an asynchronous kind of discussion. Many of us use things like Google Docs, where we're having a collaborative document that students are working on. Or we use peer reviews, where students can talk to each other and review each other's work and give feedback. Or we might use wikis, again, another collaborative way of interacting with our students. So I am not seeing anything in the chat. I'm hoping that some people will put in their ideas of either student to content, or student to instructor, so we can get kind of a list going. So feel free to add those if you want. So today I'm going to share with you Padlet. And it's located at padlet.com. And I'm going to show you a finished Padlet first. So this is a Padlet. It's kind of like a online message board, or where you would put your sticky notes onto a board. And this is one I used in a class I taught earlier this summer. And at the end of the class, I asked them to answer the question, what would you say if your dean or supervisor said to you, what is the most important or interesting thing you learned in your student success class? And so here, where the names are crossed out, they put their name, and then they answered that question. Now, one of the reasons this becomes a student-to-student tool is that you'll notice that students can comment here. So they can talk to each other. So one student can write something and another student can comment on it, and then another student can comment on that if they want to. And I'm going to show you a quick example of a way to do that. So let me get this first example loaded for you. So this is a Padlet, and I set this one up so it was kind of like a quiz review. So what I would do is I would have the students go in and put their name, and then they could develop a quiz question. And then you'll notice here, another student could put in their name and then answer that quiz question. And so they have a quiz review here, and they're working with each other rather than working with me. And they also have a feature where you can like. So you can like certain posts, and that's kind of a fun feature to have too. So this Padlet is open right now. So if you clicked on it and you're on it, you can go ahead and double click anywhere, and you can add a quiz question that you're making up. So feel free to do that. It's open to you. Let's see if we can get somebody to add a quiz question. And Crystal, you're saying you use discussion boards. Yeah, definitely. That is a really great way to get students to talk to each other. And it's also, you know, a student to instructor kind of interaction as well, because you often will, I'm sure, go in there and interact with the students too. There we go. There we go. Somebody added. So Crystal, who was that? Oh, from Canada, we had somebody that you used Trello. Yeah, great tool too. Those are great tools as well. And then see, we've got somebody who answered it. So you can kind of get a sense of how this goes. This is a great tool, great tool. Well, those of you who've never heard of it, now I want to point out to you, you might notice that these are anonymous. That's why you would want your students to put their name on there. Their name will appear on there if they've logged in, but if you don't want them to have to log in, then you want to make sure they put their name on. Like I did in my example, I put my name up here, and then I put my quiz question. You'd have to ask them to do the same thing in the comments. So in other words, I'd have to put my name here and then put the answer there. All right, so let me go back to and I had another example. Is there an easy way for counting participation in Padlet? I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I would have to look that up. I think you would definitely have to then have them register, so their name is registered. I typically don't have people register for it because I know some people feel like they're registered for enough stuff and they don't want to register. So I would say I would guess that you would have to have them register so that their name would show up with it. And by the way, the Padlets can be downloaded into PDF documents if you want to keep them. So that is a really nice feature as well. The other example that I had for you that I'd like to share real quick. I can get it open. And that's a Muddiest Point Padlet. So in this one, you could have this set up for students, and they could put in something that they didn't understand in the content area that you were covering. So in my example here, I said, you know, I put my name, and then I didn't understand the section on, and then you could have students answer their question, and you could review those, and then you would be able to comment on what the second student said, the response student said. So it's kind of a nice way to kind of go over the Padlet. Oh, Patty says that she's saved as an Excel spreadsheet with participants' comments. Great, great. All right. So Padlet, that's a great, great tool. Let me go back. And now, just let this load. So I gave you a few more ideas that you could use. First of all, for student to content, there's a great little tool called Quizlet. And that allows you to create flashcards, which a lot of students, depending on your topic area, content area, love flashcards. So Quizlet is one I'm going to let you explore on your own. And Dave asked if there was any cost to Padlet, and no, there is not. It's completely free. Now, like most tools, they have a version that gives you more features, but frankly, I've never had to use that. I've always just used the free version and been perfectly satisfied with it. I think what happens is if you create too many Padlets, it will then they'll ask you to do the paid version. But the thing about it is, since you can download and save your Padlets and then delete them, there's really no reason to have to pay to have more Padlets, in my opinion, but it is an option. The second tool that I wanted to share in the student to instructor area is Flipgrid. And for those of you who would like to explore that, that is a video discussion board. Love it. It's free. I know a lot of K-12s are using it. Colleges are starting to use it. Colleen says she's used Flipgrid and it's easy, and I totally agree with you, Colleen. It's simple to set up, it's simple for the students to use, and it's so nice to have a video discussion once in a while instead of just text. And then the last one that I wanted to share with you for you to explore on your own is dot storming. And dot storming is like Padlet in that it's a message board or a bulletin board, whatever you want to call it. But the thing I like about dot storming is it allows you to vote on which is the best answer. So you could, for example, do something like define whatever your topic is, and then have the students put a definition up there and then vote for the best answer that they liked, which then becomes like a study guide for them, like a quiz review for them. So that is a great tool to use as well. I'd like to hear from you now. Which of the tools that we talked about today do you think you will try? Or if you tried one, how have you used it? So the chat is open and I'd love to hear from some of you. So talk to me. Okay, so we've got somebody who'd like to try Padlet and Flipgrid. Yeah, I think those are two. Padlet is so simple. Well, actually Flipgrid is too. Like Colleen said earlier, it is very easy. And Dave's going to try Padlet. He's heard about this earlier in the week. Yeah, I mean, Padlet, so simple for your students because all they do is go there and double click anywhere on the bulletin board. You can change the backgrounds. You can do all kinds of things to make it your own. Put that your question up at the top. Allow comments, don't allow comments. Wendy says WISC Online is amazing. I have to agree with that. I think it's a very, very underutilized tool. I'm always sad when people say that they haven't heard about it because there are so many things that instructors across the world have created and have put in there to use, to share with other instructors. What a great way to do that. I'm also open for questions now. So if you have any questions about any of the tools that we talked about, and And oh, Annette's here. Hi, Annette. And yes, we are using Padlet in our PTTO class this summer. And again, a great way to share information, getting that student to student interaction, that student to instructor. One of the hardest things in an online class is just making sure that your students know that you're there as an instructor. And these are all ways that you can do that, whether it's video or one of these tools or however it is. So anybody else want to share which of these tools they're going to try, or which ones they have already tried that they would like to share with us? I'm glad to hear a lot of people are going to use Padlet, because it's one that is quite easy. And do I have any questions from anybody? Patty, did I miss any questions in the chat, or was I able to kind of keep up with them? Okay, I got them. Okay. And Colleen's going to try them all. Well, that is very ambitious. Good for you. Good for you. You know, tools in online classes are great. One caution, and I'm sure you all probably already know this, but you don't want to introduce too many tools at one time. So what I recommend usually is that you try one tool one semester, and if it goes well and everything's looking good, then the next semester introduce another tool in that class, so that you can get used to it, and you can get used to it, and the students can get used to having, because other instructors are doing the same thing. So I'm not sure I understand the question about accessing chat. Can you just give me another, a little more detail about what your question is, and I will be happy to answer that. I am in Zoom, and I am able to access the chat while I'm presenting. So I don't know if that's, if maybe the presenters that said they couldn't access chat were maybe in another web conferencing system. So the question, Ciara, are you wanting to, I'm going to unmute you because I think maybe you have a question.
No, I don't have a question, Nancy. I'm sorry. I just wondered if the person who did have a question could.
Oh, got you. Yeah.
It seemed like it wasn't clear from the chat.
Yeah, okay. So I am going to unmute everybody for just a second, and that could be bad or that could be good. So if you have a quick question you want to ask, please feel free. The person who had the question about seeing the chat, I hope I explained that okay. If not, just let me know. Well, it is 1:30 on my clock. I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes if you do have questions for me. So feel free to ask. Those of you who need to go on to your next thing, I totally understand that. And please come again. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thanks a lot.
Yes, you bet.